Hello there and welcome. My name is Linda and this is my channel Linda T70. It's really good to have your company today, so welcome back to all my regulars and all my new people that have joined me. Thank you so much. Good to have everybody watching my videos, so thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. Today we are in England, the half-term week, the school half-term week, so it's a bit of a, I was thinking about what to talk about in the video today because I didn't really have anything terribly exciting that's happened to me to tell you. So I was just sort of, I was walking my dogs and mulling a few things around. I will tell you first of all, though, I did actually buy something today and I feel like I'm having a bit of a moan about that. I went out first thing this morning because I have a Sainsbury's delivery most weeks and they didn't have the dog food that I want for my dogs, and so I thought, well, I better go and try it. This was Friday, so I thought I'll come out today, Monday, to see if I can find it. Anyway, basically that was a right old hoo-ha, and I had to buy something I don't normally buy because I don't know what's happened to all the senior dog food, but they don't have any in Sainsbury's. Anyway, I looked on their makeup bit because I wanted a new mascara. I usually buy that, is it Skyline thing? And it's quite dry now, and I've run out of my lip gloss as well. So and also my face, honestly, well, I know you're probably thinking her face, honestly. I've stopped wearing foundation, but I put the Nivea tinted moisturiser cream, day cream, on my face and use that as a moisturiser. I don't do it every time, but I do it when I'm doing making a video because I think perhaps I look a bit less hideous, but I don't know. But I've noticed that the tube that I'm using currently, as in the one I've got on my face today, is kind of going a bit, I don't know, it's going a bit patchy on my face. Now it's a fairly new tube, so it's not that, oh, you know, it's been in there open for ages and it's going manky. So anyway, I went and bought another one and I thought, well, I'll give it a try. It gets one more chance, this stuff. So this is what I buy, and the colour is light skin tone, which is kind of what I am, I suppose. I think they only do it, well, they might do it in more colours, but I only ever really see it in light skin tone. Day cream, 24-hour moisture, vitamin E, mineral pigments, vitamin E and mineral pigments. So, and it's got an SPF of 15 in it. So I don't know, if it's really horrible, and I have got an 8 times, or is it 10 times? 10 times, I think, magnified mirror, so you can imagine how hideous my face looks. So anyway, I bought some more, and like I say, you know, let me down again, mate, I'm not buying you. And I wanted a mascara, and they had no choice in Sainsbury's at all. Now, I was going to take myself off into town and go to Boots, but frankly, I couldn't be bothered. So I bought this Max Factor 2000 Pro Stylist mascara. They've got several displays in Sainsbury's. They do a Maybelline one, a Max Factor, they've got a Rimmel, and there's a fourth one, can't remember what it is. And it's just, it looks like they've been raided, honestly. There's hardly any stock. I don't know if this stuff gets pinched, but mascaras, honest to God. And I found one that I thought, oh, maybe I'll give that a go. And then I found it was a primer. And I thought, well, that's probably, because I searched, it must have been for about 10 minutes to try and find the colour, because I didn't realise it was a primer. And you know the microscopic thing that I have written on here, there was nothing on, well, I mean, I wear specs and I couldn't see anything. I thought I should need a blooming microscope for it. Anyway, I went for this and I have been disappointed. I've just put some on and, you know, it's a bit kind of that sort of brush. Don't know if you can see that properly. You're probably not that bothered anyway, but yeah, and the stuff that they put on it, and I know they have to put the alarm thing on, but I'm going to have to spend 10 minutes getting all that off as well. It's all sticky. And I bought a lip gloss as well. It's a lip glaze, actually. This is, again, this is Max Factor 2000. lip glaze, and I've got a little bit on. I don't know what you think. What colour is it? Oh, it's Guava Flare. I'd love to have that job of choosing the names for cosmetic shades. Honest to God, what do they do? Just throw the dictionary up in the air and see what page it lands at open. Guava Flare. Well, there you go. That's what I've got on today. It's quite a fat brush. There we go. And it's really quite sloppy. I'm hoping it'll settle down, but I don't know. I do try. Oh, and I bought some water wipes, because I thought they're quite nice sometimes if you're a bit hot and bothered and you want a little bit of a, you know, a zhuzh. So I got that. Yeah, so, and then I came back and I was wanting to walk the dogs, and I thought, what should I talk about today? And being the half-term week, did I just start saying this? I don't know, I keep stopping and starting this video. So we're the 17th of February, and around where I live in Hertfordshire in England, it's half-term week, and so of course all the mums are in a frenzy and all the dads are in a frenzy, because everything, you know, they have to spend a load of money on entertaining their children this week, they think. That's how they do things these days. And they all have to try and get either time off work or childcare. So it's basically a bit of a nightmare for parents these days, isn't it? I have got quite a good week actually this week. That's a bit isn't it? Forget all the mums and dads, I'm all right. So today I'm doing this, and then I've got 3 days this week where I'm out to lunch, providing nobody cancels on me, which I don't think they will. I'm seeing my friend and my daughter for lunch tomorrow. This is the friend who was poorly last year and having treatment, and she's finished all her treatment and she's feeling a lot better now. So we said we'd take her out for lunch when she started to feel like she wanted to do some more stuff. And so we're meeting her, we're taking her for lunch tomorrow, myself and my daughter, so that'll be nice. Wednesday it's a bit of a grandchildren and you know, my daughter and whatever, doing some stuff, and my son as well, and their dad, who you might have seen in my Christmas food video, and those 2 grandchildren and one of the other grandchildren, so that's going to be nice. And we're all I'm meeting them for lunch. And Thursday I'm meeting a friend I used to work with. I met her I can remember the day I started the job. It was Valentine's Day, the year 2000, Valentine's Day, yeah. So I met her that day, and we still keep in touch and catch up every now and again. So it'd be nice to see her. I haven't seen her socially really for about probably about 5 months now. So I'm looking forward to that. I was thinking to myself, we're talking about this half-term malarkey, why do we do it? Why do we have so many holidays? So those of you who don't live in, you know, the UK, in other parts of the UK or in this country, basically the school term, and it might be like this everywhere in the world, I don't know, but the school term starts in September, the beginning of September, and then you have sometime in October they get a week off. They have a half term and they get a week off, and then of course we're on the slide then to Christmas, and they usually get about, I think they got 2 weeks off last Christmas, and then around this time in February they get a week off. And I know that I'm preaching to the choir with a lot of you, you'll know this, but the more you think about it, and then they'll be back next week, and then it will be, so they'll be in school all of March, I think, and then we've got Easter in April, although I believe Easter is quite late this year, which must all be to do with the moon and whatever, and Lent and all that stuff. I think Good Friday's the 18th of April, and then I think they get 2 weeks for Easter now. And then they're back May. They have Labour Day off, don't they, which is the first Monday. That's what 1 day bank holiday we have here for Labour Day. and or May Day they call it, on the first Monday in May, and then at the end of May there's a week off for what I used to call Whitsun when I was at school, but I think they might call it the Spring Bank Holiday or something now. I don't know. And then they're in school for June, and then they pack up halfway through July, and then it's all back round the same thing starts again. And I thought to myself, oh, well, I wonder why this all happens. So I did kind of try and find out, but again, like, a lot of things I think I talk about, it's a big old subject, but I think part of it started probably at the beginning of the last century, the 20th century, when there was we were at war, and a lot of men obviously went into the army or to the services, Army, Air Force and Navy, which left gaps in the workforce, and particularly in agriculture, because agriculture, I don't know if it still is, but I know that the UK's main industry was agriculture at one time. And so I'm sorry, I've got an itchy eye. And so children and slightly older children and younger children were all required to work on farms and in other industries as well, I'm sure. The farming thing, probably that would have started before the beginning of the 20th century. It probably goes a bit earlier than that, but for the sake of this video, I am not an educational service, as you well know. I just give you my thoughts on things. And so to sort of counteract the numbers of missing men, they employed children and young people to do all these jobs. And of course, if you think about it, school terms kind of reflect, don't they? If you take agriculture, if you take farming, you'll have sort of, I'm guessing, again, I don't know, but you'll have, in September it will be harvest time, so children and, more people would have been required to help. I'm talking about the days before we had all the, the devices to make farming easier for farmers, as in machines and things, so people working in fields and whatnot, and also hops as well, hop farming, and all that sort of thing. So we would have had harvest in September, and then in the spring I suppose you get or over the winter even, sowing crops. Then you'd have the lambing and the calves having their babies, which would be probably in the spring, around this time of year. And then, sort of tending crops later on into the year. I mean, like I say, you get the idea. I don't know the actual detail of it, but and I think it was just deemed easier for schools to shut down, those children that were lucky enough to go to school, of course, to shut down, to allow children and young people to actually be able to help and not miss out on any education. So I kind of think it sort of goes around that. But why it's not changed in the last 80 or 90 years, who knows why? Because now it's just so difficult, isn't it, for people to, because of course in those days children would have been more self-sufficient anyway, because there was nothing unusual about leaving children of 5, 6, 7 to their, to walk to school on their own. Well, younger than that. I mean, I did, and and I'm not that old. We didn't have to be driven or escorted anywhere. We would just we looked after ourselves mostly, and I know a lot of you will say the same as me, that your mother would have sent you out in the morning to go and play with your friends, and if you didn't come back, if it got to tea time and you weren't home, so like 5 o'clock in the evening, you weren't home, they might worry about you, but not terribly like they do now. I mean, we've got to have eyes on children all the time, really, haven't we? We're just in that sort of that state of just thinking that our children could be nabbed off the streets and taken off somewhere, and hideous things will happen to them. And I know that does happen, but by and large it doesn't. So yeah, it's just kind of it's just a different time, isn't it? And you'd think really that we would have changed our methods, because to find child cover, child care for 6 weeks in the summer is just, you know, it's not an easy thing to do for most people. And as I say, you know, living the lives we live now, where both parents work. I was going to say that, you know, when I was little, my mum, she did work, but and lots of mums did, but they did little jobs around school days usually. So there was tended to be someone, or somebody else's mum would be at home, and you could go to their house and have your tea. It was much more like that. But we're all a bit sort of insular now, aren't we? We don't really do that. We have to pay a professional person bags of money to look after our children, a job that a woman down the road might well have done, you know, quite safely 50 or 60 years ago. But yeah, it's just the way times changed, isn't it? And yeah, it's not. And I'll tell you something else. This is a bit controversial, I think. And I've tried to explain this to current husband, and I don't think I explain it very well. So he doesn't sort of see what I mean. But you get a lot at the moment, and you will have a lot of you, or if you're younger and watching me, it might be you. But you will have sons and daughters who have children at school, and they always complain about the prices of holidays in the school holiday time. And I mean, one of my daughters-in-law, she's a teacher, so I do sort of understand. You know, I hear both sides of the coin, so I can understand that parents find it exceptionally important to take their children on holiday, and they find it exceptionally expensive as well. And so they would rather be able to take them in school time so that they get cheaper holidays, which on the face of it sounds all right, doesn't it? But I think about this quite a lot, because if you imagined, because they had a lady on the TV, a woman on the TV a few weeks ago saying, oh, well, if I take my children now, if I take my children away in the summer holidays, my holiday is going to cost, say it's £3,000, but if I take them when it's not school holidays, I only have to pay, for example, £1,000. So they're, you know, she was saying there was an enormous saving. They're not the figures she quoted, but you know what I mean. And I thought to myself, if you think that if we all start taking our holidays when we want to, because we think certain times of year are cheaper than others, for a start, if all the schools said, right, okay, we don't care when you take your children out of schools, so you might, in a class of 30 kids, for example, you might have 1 week, you might have 6 children not in class. The next week you might have 4 children not in class. The next week maybe none. Following week there might be 10 out of class. So how does that work? You can't tell me that children aren't being disrupted. The rest of the class are being disrupted, the ones that aren't going on holiday, because they're going to have to catch up. The other people are going to have to catch up, so it's going to delay their learning, or they're going to have to bring people in to do the catch-up thing. And I know everyone says, oh, it's the last day of term, and you know, it doesn't matter. Well, that's a slightly different thing, but I'm talking about if we were just given carte blanche to take our children out of school on a whim, you know, for holiday. And the other thing this lady was saying, because of course you are fined, aren't you, in this country now? And again, I don't know if other people are in other parts of the world. And people say, I mean, somebody I know said to me quite recently, she's taking her boys on holiday because, and she's prepared to pay the fine because it's still going to be cheaper than going away in, say, July. And I do get that, and I, you know, especially if mums and dads are on, you know, on a budget and they still want to take their children somewhere nice because they say, oh, well, it's all educational and it's a life experience and everything. But if all these people were told that they could take their children out of school any week or month of the year, that would be absolutely fine. if they think that we are all going to still be paying less or more, we're all going to, the prices of all the holidays, what I'm saying is the prices of all the holidays would all go up, because the travel companies aren't going to stand for this, are they? Because it's their business to make money. So if you want to, if it might be all right for a couple of weeks or something, or a couple of months, but if you've got a quantity of people in a school who are in every school in the land who are taking their holidays, they're allowed to take their holidays whenever they could. If you think that the prices are going to stay with a differential, so some months it's going to be cheap and some months it's going to be expensive, I really think you're misguided, because all the prices are going to go up. So I think you'd be shooting yourself in the foot anyway. I don't know if that makes sense really, but I hope you understand what I mean. And I've got to come clean here. When my children are middle-aged people now, but when they were at school, we did have a holiday to Disneyland in America when they were, one was 12 and one was 8, and we just inherited some money off of someone, and we really wanted to take them when we could afford to do it that year, that particular year. And but my previous husband, he worked in aviation, so and also he was a school governor at the time, so perhaps that was all right. And there wasn't anything like fines, although I'm sure if there had been we would have just paid it. And so we did take them out for a few days. But thinking about it now, if you do that with everybody all the time, just take children out of school any time, any week of any month of the year. If you think about, if you have 5 children missing from one class and you have 4 classes in a year at school, so that's 20 or 30 in every year, every school year. I mean, that's a massive amount of children missing out on work. And the other children will suffer. Basically, this is what I'm saying. The other children, I think, will suffer, because trying to catch up those kids to the ones that have stayed in class is just going to be impossible. It's going to be impossible for the teachers. It's going to be impossible for the children that went on holiday. It's going to be impossible for the ones that didn't go anywhere and just, did what they're supposed to do. So I don't know what the answer is. I wish I could think of a good answer. I mean, our holidays have gone up ridiculously since COVID anyway, because obviously the industry has to make money up, plus the fact everything's gone up now, hasn't it? Whatever we do these days, everything is blamed on COVID, because it had just a massive effect. And we, when things are never going to go down again. Things don't tend to, do they? They are this sort of plateau. Yeah, I don't see how that's going to work. So I wish people wouldn't do that, take their children. I understand it, because as I say, we did it. Well, I'm going back to the early 1992. We went to America to Disney, so it's a long time ago. But I don't think it's the right thing to do. But maybe, I don't know, maybe people just have to save up a bit more and go. Or the travel industry has to come up with a solution that makes everything a bit fairer. I don't know, but there's always going to be one of us that doesn't win. Some are going to have to pay more than they did, whether it's young families or other people who don't rely on school holidays. Anyway, I don't know, but it does make me think. But if you can see holes in what I'm saying, I hope you can understand what I mean. Or if you've got another view, let me know. What was the other thing I was going to... Oh yeah, the other thing I was going to mention was... Oh, by the way, I've got this... I bought this top and these sort of leisure trouser things a couple of weeks ago. And I did say, I showed you on one of my videos, and I said I'd try them on and show you, and I never did. So I've actually put them on today. So I will show you before I finish this video. I'll stand up so you can see what I'm wearing. Honestly, it's not a pretty sight, but there we go. The other thing I was going to say was, you know I'm always talking about videos that I watch, or not always, but I've told you before that I'm quite interested in watching dead people videos, and there's a couple of people that I watch fairly regularly who take you to cemeteries. There's one particular guy I watch who's American, and there's somebody else who's British, but there's a few others as well. And there's a Hollywood graveyard, which I find absolutely fascinating. I always wait for their videos to come out. And, and I was kind of thinking to myself, I don't know really obsession is too strong a word, but what the interest is in it, because I don't see myself as being a miserable person. I mean, having said that, I do sometimes I feel a bit miserable, but generally speaking, I feel I'm quite upbeat, and I think I'm glass half full rather than glass glass half empty. I think I'm a fairly positive person, and I think, you know, for somebody that sort of watches these things, I wonder kind of what's going on in my brain sometimes. I watch a lot of murders as well, and I like a lot of factual programs about murders, but it's not that I don't know. I don't even know what it is. I don't know. It's not that I'm ghoulish, if you like. I don't like horror. I don't watch any sort of horror films or anything like that. I don't like gore. Any, you know, sort of what's the word? Gratification, gory gratification. Is that right? I don't watch anything like that, but I suppose it starts because you think, well, there's one thing that is the great leveller of all of us, whether we are prince or pauper, is one day we're going to die, and it's the inevitable, isn't it? And how we go and when we go, of course, is the thing we all think about, or perhaps we don't all, but I suppose the older you get. And I was thinking, when I was thinking about this, and I thought, oh, shall I chat to them about it? And I thought, I don't know really if I could, if that's what people want to listen to. But I don't think I'm on my own. And in fact, when I told you about a couple of the channels I've watched, some people have said to me, oh yeah, I watched that, I'm interested in that. But it's not like I go around like with gothic clothes on and sleep sleep hanging upside down in a wardrobe or anything. I mean, it's not sort of that sort of, it's just the way, I suppose it's just part of life, isn't it? And I was thinking, I must find that photo. So when I was a kid, my mum's mother died when I was about, I was about 6. I was 6. And wasn't involved in any of the going to the funeral situation, because most children aren't, are they? But my mum was incredibly close to her mother, and used to talk about her incessantly. And one of the things we used to do, and I think it was every Sunday, but if it wasn't, it was every other Sunday it was a regular basis, we would go to my nan's grave and put flowers there, and mum and dad, well, it's probably every fortnight to be fair, and put fresh flowers on, and mum and dad would sort of fiddle about weeding, and she didn't have a headstone, but it was just like when you can see there's been a burial there. And so I used to have this as part of my life, really. I didn't really think too much of it. And if I'll show you this photograph now, it's a shiny photo, so I hope this doesn't, if you can see what I mean. But if you can see this, oh, hang on, that little girl, so that's me, and in the background you might be able to see some daffodils, and there's a part of a person there who's my sister. I think it's my sister went on that occasion. I mean, she wouldn't normally go because well, she probably had better things to do. But and I thought, I wonder how many people have got photographs of took a photograph of their, Now I think I would have been, I must have been about 8 here. I think I was about 8. Their 8-year-old child next to a grave. It's really weird, isn't it? And I thought, well, maybe this, if I was to lay on a psychiatrist's chair, maybe this might have some sort of bearing on why I've got this sort of thing, because it's not just about, I mean, I do watch lots of true stories about murders and, you know, why people do things. I do find it quite an interesting topic, but yeah, but actually people going around graveyards and talking about the person. I mean, Lamont at Large, he's got a big channel, and I watch him frequently, and he talks about excuse me, he talks about all sorts of people, and you know, what their lives were like, and you know, what happened to them, and you know, it's a big subject, and he talks about that, and I find that really interesting, as I keep saying. And I wonder if this sort of going every fortnight to a cemetery in Harrow is part of it. And I didn't really find anything creepy about this place. I mean, you can see how old this photo is. If you look closely, you could probably see a dinosaur the other side of the hedge or something. But I was thinking about this again, I think probably about 18 months ago. And I thought, well, I wonder what's happened to this grave now. Probably because I've been watching too many YouTube gravestone videos. So I knew that this graveyard would have been in somewhere in the borough of Harrow. So because my grandmother lived in a place called Queensbury, so we're kind of talking North London here, and I thought that would probably be in that borough of Harrow. I mean, apologies if you don't live in this country, you don't know any of these places I'm talking about, but the point is it's not that far from where I live now. And I was trying to remember, I can remember when I used to go with my mum and dad, and I remember the road they used to park in. Didn't have a clue what it was called, but I can remember there was a road where we parked, and I can remember there was an alleyway that we went through between some houses, and that opened onto a big field, so a park effectively. And the cemetery, there was a big sort of tarmacked pathway, which I now would say that's what funeral vehicles and council vehicles would drive down through these gates into this cemetery at the end of the park. And I said to current husband, I'd really like to go and find her grave again. And so I looked on a map, and I found 3 or 4 graveyards that I didn't have a clue what it was called or what the park was called or anything. I found 3 or 4, I don't think there was any more than 4 graveyards in that general area. And I just said to current husband one day, can we just have a little drive round and see if we can find it? And would you believe it was the second one we went to? I remembered it. I said, I know there's a path here, and I know there's that there and something else here. And we didn't park in the same little road, because I don't think I've been there since the 60s, you know. I wouldn't have been there at any time. I might have gone once in the 70s when my other grandparent died, but and the only sad thing about it was, because I had this picture and I was thinking, I know she's right against the hedge. I remembered that. Well, I remembered it anyway. And I can remember these trees. I don't know what they're called, but I can remember they were those kind of big old cone-shaped trees, and they were evenly placed along the hedge. And sorry, I'm going on about this a bit really, aren't I? But anyway, so we went there, and the place was, I wouldn't say it's disused, but it didn't look like it had been cared for very much anymore. It didn't look like there had been any more burials or cremations or, you know, people having been cremated put there. They'd probably gone to others in the borough, but you could go and have a walk. And so we walked along, and I could remember the water tap where, you know, when you go to a cemetery, there's a water tap so you can fill your vase up if you put flowers down. And I knew where it was in relation to the grave, so I kind of found where it was. But it's just grass now. There's nothing there to see, which was a bit sad, really, because two of my grandparents are in the same plot. But yeah, it's so I wonder if that had any sort of bearing on me being a bit funny about not funny, bit interested in gravestones, because I would always have a look, you know, going around. Even as a little kid, I mean, I don't suppose I could read all of the inscriptions that well, but even the day that I went with current husband, I went round and just was reading some of them. I find it quite interesting. It's your life in a couple of sentences, isn't it? People put these things down, and yeah. Anyway, so I thought I'd share that with you. So maybe that's that's why I'm interested in these things. And as a final thing, you know, talking about all the statistics things, and people aren't very interested in that sort of stuff, but I do find some facts really fascinating. I've got a fact for you, which is now I was told this by Steve Wright. So if you live in England, I suppose, I don't know if he went everywhere. Well, he was on BBC Radio 2, wasn't he? So he would be British thing rather than an England thing. Steve Wright was a lovely DJ. He's sadly not around anymore, but he used to do various radio shows on the BBC. And one of the facts he gave one day was, I don't know what it was related to, whether it was a competition or whether I was just driving along in my car, and I just heard him say, can you tell me the remotest place on earth? And people were supposed to ring in, I think, and tell him. And if you were listening that day, you might still remember this, but I just found it really interesting. And the answer is, it's a place called, well, it's not a place really, it's called Point Nemo. And this is a point on this planet. Oh, yeah, if you haven't already turned off, I'll tell you. It's a point on this planet in the south of the Pacific Ocean, and it's I think it's about 2,700 miles or something away from the nearest land. So it's not an island, it's not a volcano, it's just a place, it's just a point on the earth, which is the remotest, so it's furthest from every other piece of land on earth. So it's as far into the middle of nowhere that you can get. And the other interesting thing I found about that was that if you should find yourself perhaps sitting on a boat at that exact point, you would be, the nearest human to you would be somebody that's in the space station orbiting the Earth. You would be closer to an astronaut than you would be to another, providing you were on your own in the boat, you would be closer to an astronaut than you would to anybody else in the world. And also another bit of fact about Point Nemo. Feel free to use this to, you know, tonight, or to you know, icebreaker at parties. When the space station goes out of service, which is in, I think, I remember all this, 2031, I think, it will be disposed of on Earth, and it will go into the ocean, which is a very, very, I don't know if it's the world's deepest bit of the ocean, but a lot of satellites that have gone out of use are now in the ocean at Point Nemo. So there you are. You get such value from me, don't you? So yeah, so we've had a little bit of a chat about half term. We've had a bit of a chat about useless sticky makeup. Yeah, I'm not terribly, it's just everything's sticking to it now. I'm not massively impressed with this, but I should have gone to Boots, shouldn't I? So we've done that. My take on school holidays, and yeah, Point Nemo, most remote place on this earth. So I would just stand, well, I'll just turn the camera off and then I'll turn it back on again and show you this trousers and whatnot. So these was from Sainsbury's. The top, I think, if I remember rightly, was it £9? It doesn't do me any favours, I've got to say. It's a bit muffin top. And I don't really go in anywhere, I go more out everywhere. And the trousers were £20, but this is the first time I've put them on, so I'm going to keep them on for the rest of the day and see how comfortable they are, and I can always report back if you're interested. So right, hang on a sec and I'll just show you. Just to say, this room's a bit higgledy-piggledy because I've got my 2 granddaughters coming at the weekend, so I'm sorting this room out, and so I'll do the best I can showing you, but I haven't got a lot of room behind me because I've got to, as I say, sort things out. So hang on. And I've also got a dog just come in the room. Oh, no, she's gone. Right, so this is the top. And as I say, sorry, this is not a very good showing. So can you see there, got this sort of stripy situation. Yeah. But they're nice and long. Let me show you a view of the carpet. I'm not really sure if you could see that very well, but it's just to give you an idea. And as I say, I did think, oh, I should have shown you this weeks ago. But anyway, so Sainsbury's too, and I'll let you know how I got on with them. Right, thank you so much for watching today. Really appreciate it. I hope it's not been too boring. Sometimes I think it's, well, it's probably sent you off to your nana nap a bit earlier, hasn't it? This will go out tomorrow, and I will see you again on Friday. The stuff I'm doing this week, if I find it appropriate to maybe video some of it, I'll show you that. But it's just not always easy with children and you know, family around, is it? Because they don't always want. Some of my children are all right about their kids being on camera, but others aren't, so it's not always easy really. But anyway, I'll give you a full rundown by the end of the week. So thank you so much. If there's any videos you fancy me doing, I know 1 or 2 have asked me to do things, and one or 2 of them have been things I've done before. But if you think of anything new, let me know and we can do it. But otherwise, I'll see you for something else and some more chat in a few days. So until then, take good care. If you'd like to subscribe, if you don't, please do so. There should be a thingy at the end that comes on, and I will see you very soon. Take care. Bye bye.